The Symphony of Shadows. In Paris, 1910, the Seine River rose higher than anyone remembered. Water spilled over the quays and crept into the cobblestone streets. Yet, in a small cafe where the flood lapped at the bar, Clara Duval played on. Clara was blind, but to her, the music was a cascade of color. The piano keys were shades of midnight blue and brilliant jade. The sound of the rising water, cold against the stone, was a low, resonant violet. She was painting a masterpiece with sound. Listening from the doorway stood Etienne. A composer himself, he hadn't written a single note since the Seine had claimed his younger brother years ago. The river was a scar on his heart, a sound he could not bear. He walked toward the sound, through the shallow water. "Your music," he said, his voice quiet. "It is not trying to silence the water, but to speak its sorrow." Clara smiled. "Sorrow is just a shade of color waiting to be mixed, Etienne. I hear yours, too." They began to compose together, the Symphony of Shadows. They captured the sounds of the drowning city, water against ancient stone, the mournful, muffled tolling of underwater bells, the echoing slosh of lonely footsteps. Clara was the eyes of the music. "A splash is a flash of orange," she would declare. "The cold wind is a dark crimson," Etienne would note, writing down the score that was a canvas of sound and color, grief and hope. The night of the premiere arrived, but the Seine had one final surge. The manager of the Théâtre du Châtelet stood by the entrance, crestfallen. "We must cancel, Etienne. The whole hall is flooded." Clara's hand found his. "No, we won't," she said, her voice steady and clear. "The music was made for this. We must play it for the river itself." They lifted their skirts and trousers and walked onto the stage, through the knee-deep water. The small, courageous audience stood in the aisles. As Clara and Etienne played, the music filled the vast hall. It was wild, sorrowful, and then brilliantly, impossibly, full of light. They were an island of melody in a sea of water. As the final, resonant note faded, a silence fell, then a whisper of sound, the sound of trickling. The flood, as if it had been listening, had begun to recede. The Symphony of Shadows became a legend, music that finally turned grief into light.